here talking, chopping it up. Today it's Donald Trump. Today is ICE. And the word of the day is continuation. Say it with me again. Continuation, right? And so, unfortunately, we had a death by the hands of ICE agents. And I'm going to bring up the article that talks about what happened because I do want to share. And so this is from NPR, what we know one day after the killing of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, right? And so the killing of Renee Nicole Good by Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer inspired a vigil Wednesday night and is sparking protests in Minneapolis and elsewhere on Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. The protests today got really, really heated. I'm not going to touch on that part, but NPR identified the ICE agent who fired the gun as Jonathan Ross by cross-referencing court records with details about the officer released by Homeland Security, Christine Nome. Um, we're going to jump down. It says description of the incident matches a court case against a Mexican national, Roberto Carlos Munoz Guatemala, who was found guilty in December of assaulting a federal officer in Bloomington. DHS confirmed to NPR in the case that Norm referenced. So Ross' name is mentioned in the court documents, and you got Norm said that Wednesday's shooting occurred after protesters in Minneapolis harassed and impeded ICE agents, and that the officer acted to protect himself and fellow officers. Sounds real familiar, but we're going to keep going. She alleged that Good's actions amounted to an act of domestic terrorism. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison told NPR's Morning Edition that he disagrees with Noam's characterization of Good as a domestic terrorist. So, competing narratives quickly emerge. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and other local officials have dismissed Norm's versions of the events as political spin. Frey said of the self-defense explanation, having seen the video myself, I want to tell everybody that it's bull sneeze naive. This was a federal agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. Adding that he wants ICE units to leave. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said he was angered by the killing, which he linked to President Trump's policy of sending ICE and other federal agents surging into cities. What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict, Walz said. It's governing by reality TV, and today that recklessness cost someone their life. And that is very unfortunate. And what I am going to go to is, a few key details. And so the police officers responded to report shots fired just after 9:30, bang, bang. Minneapolis firefighters then removed 37-year-old victim from the vehicle and immediately began life-saving procedures. She was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center. And the how. Callison, who recorded a video of the incident, told NPR agents that gave Good conflicting orders. One agent told her to drive away, while another told her to get out the SUV. And I am going to stop sharing there because all of this sounds so familiar, and is why I said this is people. This is a continuation because this is people. This is a continuation because what we see here and what we have here is what has taken place by um, police forces across the nation as it relates to the Negro community. We have been expressing our grievances as it relates to the spinning of narratives. And we have been for decades now expressing to people that these situations have always been made and created to be hostile. And before I start, I do want to say my condolences to the young lady who lost her life. Um, it is unfortunate that she has lost her life, but I think it is very important that we have a conversation around the fact that if we're going to approach this conversation to be effective and to come to some solution, we are going to have to be clear minded and be mature. So, first things first, Donald Trump, ICE, is a federal agency that has a legitimate position, a legitimate reason, and a legitimate justification for existing. Tim Walz and all of these political figures and all of these uh, uh, NGOs and organizations that are blustering about, getting rid of ICE in totality in the same way that we had these conversations around defund the police. This is a fool's errand. I do not want people to get sucked into that. We have to be very, very, very precise. We have to acknowledge that Trump is correct about immigration. Trump is right about immigration. Immigration is a problem and has caused a number of problems, whether it be from the economic overload, whether it be to the housing, or whether it just be to the jamming of systems and services within a specific jurisdiction where immigrants have become a concentrated population. That is a true statement. Now, with that being said, acknowledging that the goal and the tactic is not to go on and scream to the top of our lungs to rid ourselves of ICE. It is the equivalent to trying to rid ourselves of police forces. That is not the way. The way is we have to concede in the sense that this entity exists, and we have to then push our legislative body, Congress, to act in a way that allows them to legislate and put barriers around the ability, the actions, the movements of said ICE. Is that a magic cure all bullet? No, absolutely not. I'm not here to say that at all. Because as we know, we've had a series of, I forget the word that they even call it, but my bad, reforms when it comes to policing. And we see that that is not always the solution. But what you can't do is just say that you want to defund it, because what it allows is Trump and his minions to circumvent accountability. Because the reason that I said continuation, continuation is because, as I said, in 2026, you have to figure out how something is a continuation in terms of whether it be policy, execution, or just the run of the mill, quote unquote, game that everybody loves to play, right? It is nothing new under the sun. So we have to be very, very, very strategic in how we approach it, while also acknowledging that this isn't something new. This isn't something that is groundbreaking in terms of narratives being spent. And the reason that I'm framing it this way, and the reason that I'm having a conversation about this and not the actual events, is because it is a series of redundancy. We have been here and we will continue to be here if we continue to approach these issues in the same way. I am not saying don't be outraged. I am not saying that you should not have any feelings toward the issue or the matter at hand. But what I am saying is that calling Donald Trump out his name, calling ICE agents out their name, or saying that, ICE agents are this, and that doesn't get us anywhere. Because the other thing that people have to realize is that, yes, there are numbers of people who are of Latin descent and uh, Black people who are in ICE. People have to work. People need jobs. People need money. And just telling people to quit is also not the solution. That's just like telling people to quit from law enforcement. That's like telling people to quit from politics because they are a political staffer and you feel like whoever is, you know, a bad look and they should quit. Ideally, in a world that wasn't built and run on a uh visceral, atrocious, and just insatiable machine that we call capitalism, or I'll say American capitalism, one would be able to quit their job with in a space where you have the agency or the heads of that agency acting in a matter that lacks integrity or even legality. But it's very important. It's very, very important that we don't just repeat the same cycle that we always repeat, where everybody gets mad and everybody, including the elected officials who have power and influence, talking about leave. You ke- you know that's not possible, man. Like that's not possible. And even if it were possible, it still doesn't fix the issue. But what do I know? Let me know what y'all think. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button, please share it.